No, it's just you have a shitty relationship with money.
Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast.
Without passive income, you will work the rest of your life with no guarantee of retirement.
Tell me how this sounds to you. I want to work for the next 40 hours a week for the next 40 years to retire on 40% of my income. Does that sound like a good time to you?
It's all bullshit. You went to school and you learned a system that is failing. You learned a system that was designed to make you an employee.
I'm so fucking tired of hearing people say that they don't need to invest, they don't need to be rich, they don't like money. You need to be rich. You want to know why you need to be rich? Because you need to support everyone around you.
The Kingdom Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Kingdom Podcast, episode something, coming to you live from a very, very cold, snowy Montana. Got my co-host Todd Fleming.
From a not snowy Montana, thank God.
From a medium warm, beautiful Ohio.
Yeah, it's pretty nice right now. Fall can be pretty beautiful here. It's like 60s here, and everything's orange and, yeller. So
I like how you think it's fall, but in case you missed it, it's actually winter now.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's still fall here technically. But I don't know when you guys, whoever the listener is right now, if you're listening to this the day it came out, then it's fall. If you're listening to this 2.5 years from now and in a recording, you just discovered us. First of all, why is your name Patrick Starfish and you live under a rock? Secondly, whatever time of the year it is, it's fall right now. So keep that in mind.
Keep it in mind. So look, guys, we're going to talk a little bit today about why people get so overwhelmed when they have a great idea. I love hearing people's ideas. I love networking with people. A lot of people like to, brainstorm, mastermind, tell me about what they have going on. My dad, for example, he's got a great idea. He's had many over, however many years, he's had a lot of great ideas. But why do so many people have such great ideas and then they fail to follow through on them? How come nobody ever takes action on these? I have what I believe is the answer. Todd, what do you think?
I thought you were going to say fuck them up and not fall through. That's what I think.
What?
When you said fall through and they're going to fall through, I thought you were going to say this is why people fuck it up.
That too.
I don't know why. It felt right. Why do I think that they fall through? I think because they look at the top of the mountain instead of what's in front of them. I think they focus on too much. Like they look like that end goal, and they're like, "Oh my God, how am I ever going to get there?" Instead of it just being like, "Today I'm going to do this, and that will get me closer."
I agree with you. So I think along the same lines, I think people lack the ability to break a big idea down into very, very small actionable steps, and it's overwhelming. I've got this $1 million deal, but they never start because they never know where to start. They can't take that and break it into 100 small pieces and start tackling one at a time. So that's huge. I mean, we're both in Secret Entourage, Secret Academy. I see people every single day. Man, I've got this great idea for an app. I've got a great idea for a restaurant. I've got a great idea for this and this and this. And my idea is going to change the world. And then 3 months later, guys, I've got a great idea. It's like
3 months. Fuck, it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, the next day, I've got this great idea, and they go through the whole process again. They get excited about it. They spend 30 hours brainstorming, and then they hit a wall. They just boom hit a wall, and then 3 weeks later, they have another great idea.
Yeah, because inevitably they, in their brainstorming, they find something that they don't know how to do, and it's like, oh, it's the wrong idea for me because I don't know how to do that yet. like what? You don't know how to do any of this shit when you start. You're going to look ridiculous. I mean, you need to learn and prepare and everything.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this is how I'm going to get to my end goal step by step. All right, well, good luck. Good luck with all that running and place by place, piece by piece, and never going off track or adjusting. Have you ever heard the expression "we fail to the moon"?
I haven't.
We failed. You've never heard that? We've failed to the moon. So when the rocket goes off, it's just constantly correcting. It's constantly reading where it's at and correcting because it was never actually right on the way there. So we failed all the way to the moon. So if the rocket can fail to the moon and back, you can probably fail to 10 grand a month, whatever your goal is.
Yeah.
Or mission or purpose, whatever you're going after. By the way, it's okay to make money. Go ahead.
Another podcast idea.
Another podcast. Yeah.
So every single podcast, we have like 55 more podcast ideas. And then every time when we start a podcast, we're like, what are we talking about again?
Yeah. If somebody ever goes through our podcast and goes, "These are all the ideas that you've had," that would really help. So if someone could transcribe those ideas and send them to one of us, that way we can know what the hell we're talking about the next week. That would be super.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Superb.
So I want to give you guys some advice. I think having ideas is cool. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't even be afraid to tell people about your ideas. Half of them are going to say you're retarded. It's okay. But what I want you guys to get in the habit of doing is basically building a timeline from A to Z and saying, okay, this is my idea broken into 100 pieces. What the hell do I do first? We did talk about this a little bit a couple podcasts ago about starting an LLC and then building a team, etc. But I don't want to touch on that today. Like, I'm more so, okay, this is my idea. A is what? What's the first element of it? I mean, we did that a lot with Kingdom. You know, we said, okay, what the hell's what's it gonna look like?
Yeah, for sure we did. It was we always had the vision of like what the I'm not even gonna call it the end, there's no end, but what the product would be. I'm gonna call it a product, but it was more of like our idea was we want a legitimate place for people to learn affordably. That was so what does that look like? Where the hell do you start with that? There's a million places you could start, but where do we start?
At the beginning. What's that Mary Poppins? Start at the very beginning.
Yeah, at
Very good
the
place.
very beginning. If you would have told me that there would have been a Mary Poppins reference in my podcast today.
Is that even Mary Poppins? It probably isn't.
I have no idea. So now there's going to be some
No, that's the sound of
movie
music.
Nazi that's going to be like, that's not Mary Poppins, that's this. So if you're that person, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And secondly, come back and then let us know what movie it was. Unfuck yourself and then let us know what movie it was.
It's gotta be Sound of Music. It's gotta be. But no, I mean, we see this a lot. I mean, especially like in the Kingdom and real estate and stuff like that. People will be like, Todd, I want to make all this money. I want to do all this cool stuff. And we say, go read this book. And why don't they do it? Because all they can see is the end goal. And because we've been there, because we've done it, because we've gone through A through Z, we know exactly what A is. We know exactly what B is. But everybody wants to focus on Y and N and O and whatever else is in the alphabet.
One of the letters are at the end of the alphabet. I used to do the same thing. I was always a big picture guy. I think you were a big picture guy too. My wife was always a big component of like breaking it down for me. So I think it's important to have someone around you that can help you with that and keep you accountable with that. But I do believe that it is important to break it down. And, you can have your 10-year goal. I mean, I do believe that you should have this vision of, do I want to be doing this in 10 or 15 years? And if you don't, you should probably do something else or create something else or be involved in something else. But if you do...
Or have a really good exit.
Yeah, or have an exit plan. Yeah, have some sort of plan in place. But if you do, that's probably a good sign, hey, I want to be doing this. And, this is important enough for me that when shit gets tough, because naturally in the beginning when you're thinking like, I have this great idea and it's going to change the world, the other issue in that idea and or profitability wise, you're like, this is going to happen overnight or in the first few months or the first year. And when that shit doesn't happen, because it doesn't, you quit and then you go back to what you were doing. But like you were saying with, why aren't people acting on their ideas? Well, we've never been taught to act on our ideas. We've been taught to have ideas. Well, we were never even taught to have ideas. That's the thing. So for 18 years, you're taught in traditional schooling to follow the rules. And then the second you get out of school, hey, what do you think? You're like, wait, what do you mean what I think? I've never been taught to think.
So I think another big element of it is, I mean, like, Todd, I'm going to give you guys an example. Somebody reaches out to you and they say, I want to get started in real estate. Todd says, go read this book first. What's the book?
If you can't wholesale after this, I've got nothing for you by a Todd M. Fleming.
What's the book? What's the book you would have recommended 5 months ago?
Specifically on real estate?
Just like Richest Man in Babylon, right?
Yeah, if it comes to that's usually my two go-to books. If people say that I want to start something or I want to do something and get in order, my two book recommendations are always Third Circle Theory by Pejman Kadimi, owner of Secret Entourage and creator of Secret Entourage, and then the other book, if it has anything to do with them like getting organized in their life, is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason.
So here's where I'm going with that. I think most people, like Todd, you've built companies, you've done cool stuff. You're doing it. So you already know what to do. You tell them to go do it, and then they don't go do that because I don't think it's sexy enough for them. It's not sexy. Like, you want me to sit down and read a book, and then another book, and then another book before I even start doing anything?
Yeah, they usually find the excuse in it to never read the book. Well, so and so is a huge entrepreneur or business owner, or wealthy, and he doesn't like reading. That's great. That worked for them. This is what worked for me. This is what I'm sharing with you. Like, get yourself a start, gain yourself some perspective. There's a reason that people that don't like reading books still write books. If they thought they were worthless, they wouldn't write them. They just don't like reading. They don't learn that way themselves. They have a best way of learning, and they thrive within that way of their learning. So whether it be action taking and experience and just on different terms, some people learn really well, linguistically. So they read and they sit down and study. That's how they read, or that's how they learn. So if that's how you learn, and I recommend a book, boy, I hope you read that book.
And I'm gonna relate it back to real estate as well. I've got people in my local market that are like, dude, I want you to mentor me. I want to achieve all these big things. And I say, go out and find 50 vacant houses. Give me the address. But Jordan, what contract am I going to use? What do I say? They have so many damn questions, and it's like, I didn't tell you any of that. I told you to go find 50 vacant houses. A month goes by. 3 months go by. 5 months go by. I get another message on Facebook. Jordan, I really want to be mentored, blah, blah, blah. Go find me 50 vacant houses. Give me the address. But wholesaling's illegal. Like, whatever their excuse is. And guys, it's not sexy when you start. When me and Todd started the Kingdom, I shared a picture a couple days ago. Like, middle of the night, we both look like haggard. We're tired. We're like developing content. That's like where a lot of you guys need to start, and it's not going to be sexy. But if you don't start there, you'll never have a good foundation unless you do the beginning steps first. That's it.
There's that element of putting in the work. I don't know why, but when you have an idea, you look for a reason on why it wouldn't work instead of why it would work. And it's just a mindset shift. So now when I have an idea, I go, how great could this be and how can I make it work as quickly as possible? As opposed to when I used to have an idea, I have this great idea. I think it'd change the world, but I don't know how to do any of that. So wonder if I can find someone else who can do it. And then they'll let me in on it. And then that's a terrible route of going typically.
Yeah.
Because why would someone work with you if you have no experience and or anything to bring to the table other than, I think this would be cool. Like, that's why when people are like, I have this idea, but I want you to sign like an NDA, non-disclosure agreement or something, like, fuck you and your NDA. Are you kidding me? Like, no one's going to act on your idea. You're not acting on your idea. Why the hell would someone else? Oh, that one story of that one company that was built was actually someone else's idea. Okay, one out of the billions of people that have been on the planet that happened to, and you're worried about that one?
It's all bullshit. I mean, and you touched on it earlier. I mean, it's a natural thing for people to make excuses, for people not to get creative, for people not to step out of the box. And you can have a fucking brilliant idea and you can completely throw it away if you're not able to focus in and divide it into smaller sections. That's it.
Well, having good ideas and acting on them and making mistakes and asking questions has been punishable for the past 20 years of their life.
Mm-hmm.
If they're out of high school, they've been being punished for questions and being, and I'm putting in air quotes right now, wrong for 20 years at least. So that's why when you have a new idea and you're like, well, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to be wrong, and I don't want to be torn down, and I don't want to feel like that. I guess it just won't work. But in all reality, everything's the opposite. Because traditional schooling's the devil. There, I said it. If you like traditional schooling, we disagree.
You should probably unsubscribe.
It's important to extent. It's important for certain things, but regurgitating information of like who was the 13th president, like that's a waste of time anymore. That's old hat. That's old idea. Information moves too fast now to worry about things of that nature, in my opinion.
Part of the problem, guys, is that when you get in the habit of what you would consider like continuously failing, that doesn't for a lot of people, they can't shake that off. So you've got a great idea, you focused on it for a week, you got discouraged because the idea was too big, you quit. A couple weeks later or months later, you get another idea. You start this cycle of inspiration failure. And for a lot of people, it's extremely difficult to break that. Now you start getting into, now you start to see that in your relationships. You're feeling it, it falls apart. Feeling it, falls apart. You start going to your job, inspiration failure. And guys, that's not a fun place to be in. A lot of people do that. A lot of people, I mean, like, look at the work week. A lot of people start off, Monday is probably not a good idea. They start off Tuesday like, all right, I'm not hungover anymore from the weekend, and they start off strong, and then it's just by the end of the week they just fizzle out because that's what they've been taught to do. That's the cycle. What if you can change that cycle? What if you could start having a cycle of inspiration, action, completion, and that starts to filter over and flow over into every aspect of your life? Those are the people that you see on forums and Inc. magazine and all these different places. Those are the people that are going out and changing the world. But you cannot do that without discipline. And you cannot do that without focusing in and simplifying whatever project you're working on.
The discipline only takes so long too. Everyone thinks that discipline doesn't last forever. That's not a true statement. Discipline's the first few weeks. After that, it becomes habit, and it's easy. It'll actually make you uncomfortable if you don't do what you're disciplined yourself to do or created that habit for.
Yeah, I think I've heard 21 days. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think it depends on what it is. I've done a lot of research on it. It ranges from like 21 to like 66 days, depending on what the discipline or the habit is and how difficult it is. Some only take a few days. Others, might take longer. But in what you were saying of being disciplined, of like anytime you fail or you feel bad about it, just think back to the rocket going to the moon. It failed to the moon and back. If it failed to the moon and back, you can take a few lumps and go after what you truly want and act on that idea. I'm not saying that you just act like so blindly all the time that this thing's clearly not going to work and you're like, well, I'm not going to give up because the moon, the rocket failed to the moon. You need to be sensible and learn from your mistakes. I mean, if you're trying to create a business that just has no scale or no market, that doesn't make sense. But if it's something that in your mind that the general public's going to adopt, and it's just taking time, like that's different.
How important do you think having small victories is? I think that's part of it too. So people say,
seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
People say I had this great idea and it didn't happen, I'm a failure. My point, and when I started at the beginning of this call, my recommendation was to take that big idea and simplify it into small little sections. So imagine how much different your psyche would be and your mindset and your motivation would be if every single day you had a win, then another win, then another win. And those wins added up over time, equated to you being successful at whatever your idea was. What do you think about that? You think there's some validity there?
Yeah, definitely some daily consistency, which is important for the little win piece. Like even if you don't have a little win every day, I mean, your little win every day can be just progress and learning something and making sure that you're moving forward. But when it comes to actually like the big picture, like understanding your market and understanding if there is a market, validating your product or your service, I think is really, really important. So if you're, either free for a while and you see growth and you see people coming to you and you're hearing feedback and testimonials of like how things have improved because of whatever that you're providing, like that's validation, right? Validation is really important. That can be the small victories that you're talking about. You could do that I don't know if it's daily, but it pretty consistently to keep you on top of what you were doing and realize that it's going to be adopted.
Sure.
It just needs more time.
I mean, like I look back to when we started, and the validation part was huge for us. Like we had some people that were like, "Dude, we'd be all for that." Well, what happened to our motivation when it skyrocketed? We're like, "Oh my gosh, great!" And then what happened when we figured out that our payment processor worked? And we were like, "Dude, hell yeah!" And what happened when we got our first website? I mean, like all of these small things, like I don't think I'd keep on going if we never had a win, right? So all of these small things we identified as like, man, we're doing it. We're making progress. We're progressing forward.
If we didn't have one Kingdom family member yet, I probably would have quit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that would have been validating that there was no market for it, or what
Yeah.
we were doing was just way off base for what people truly want and or need.
Well, I mean,
talk about how you talk about how we found our need for this, how we found a need or a want for this.
Yeah, we had some different communities that we were engaging in, and there was a lot of people that kept on reaching out daily for information, and they really loved the fact that we responded to them. They really loved the fact that they could ask a question in a very safe environment and get an answer without it costing them $20, $30, $40, $50,000, and they were getting real advice from real people.
Yeah, so there was we saw a pattern of interaction and the want for a community that was, what's the best way to put it, validated, through experience, and there was a small barrier of entry. That way it kept out the people that weren't serious. So it kept their network always growing in a positive manner. That was the pattern that we saw. We saw a pattern of interaction and a want for more. So the interaction was big. That's why our key within the kingdom is it's very family oriented, it's very interaction oriented, and it's not so much focused on, what other traditional businesses might be of just the sale of this or the sale of that, and then you don't get to hear or see anybody. Ours is always, this is available to you, and if you have questions, simply ask. Or if you want to do work together, simply ask. Or simply bring something to the table, and we'd all love to work together. So it's become it's become a big, great, awesome family that everyone wants to work together, and everyone's profiting together, and everyone's leaving their jobs together. And it's just a big, awesome movement of people who all want the same thing, and that's freedom. And we're just all getting there the same way.
And what a fun journey it's been, man. Guys, we could talk about starting and all this stuff literally for hours, but we're not going to do that to you today. I'm going to wrap it up. I kind of want to just finalize my thought. Guys, don't let your idea be so overwhelming that you never start and that you never take action. Break your big idea down into as many smaller pieces as you can so that you can have some victories for you in the beginning that will keep you motivated, keep you moving forward, keep you progressing. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to bring people on if you feel like you are missing that piece of the puzzle as you get to that step. Don't be afraid of doing that. If you guys want more information on companies, business, if you just want to bullshit, I keep on giving the offer. You guys can send me a message personally. I would love to talk to you on Facebook. I am at Jordan Stanley Payne. We also have a fantastic Facebook page with a bunch of reviews, a bunch of content. It is at The Kingdom Real Estate. Same with our Instagram, at The Kingdom Real Estate. Snapchat, Todd's favorite. If you want to see Todd every day on Snapchat, our Snapchat is The Kingdom REI. He's laughing at me. He's laughing.
I am. My closing thought is literally, if your idea is validated, or you're in the process of validating your idea, it's okay. If your idea is already validated and you've heard people that have expressed like a want and or a need for whatever you want to provide, just remember the rocket ship.
Remember the rocket ship.
Hashtag the rocket ship. It failed all the way there and it failed all the way back. And that's pretty much how your business and or your process is going to go until you get some awesome systems in place. And even then, it's always going to be a learning experience.
Guys, we would love for you to be a part of this movement, to be a part of this journey. We are currently offering a free 14-day trial. We've got a couple different levels of interaction and mentorship, but for at least 2 of them, there's a free 14-day trial. If nothing else, come check it out. Come meet us. Come learn. You can learn a lot in 14 days. I mean, literally, if you spent every waking hour going through our content, I don't think you'd get through it in 14 days, do you?
Hey, man, I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of support for a lot of people. There's just a lot of great people that you want to add to your network. If nothing else, I would want to add all those people to my network and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we literally have hundreds of hours of content, so you
Yeah.
could literally just get a bunch of energy drinks and just 14 days straight. No, we're not going to endorse any kind of like heart failure or anything like that. But guys, we love you. Appreciate you guys being a part of this movement. If you haven't done so already, please leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. And we'll be back on Friday.
See you then.